because I believe when you give great people great opportunities, they do good in the world with it. I believe that you can't give that in which you don't have. And if we can create a retirement platform in cyberback where you can come in, you can work hard, the company takes care of you, we can go ahead and truly change the world. And what will it do for my life? It'll give my life meaning, because I'll have known that my time here spent meant something. So I'm excited for you to read the book. We'll talk about it. But let's start with this one. Everything matters equally. And I struggle with this. Jen can tell you right now that there's your to-do list, which starts with things that you could do and some things you should do. And it's just kind of mixed in there. And it's called lack of priorities. There's some stuff that you're never going to get it all done. And not everything you do matters equally. Even though to some people it does, but it's what should you do. And does everyone right now work from a to-do list?
Me.
No?
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Me.
Yes, I have.
Me always.
Yes.
Oh, me.
Cool. Does anyone not work from a to-do list?
Well, I would, but I have a to-do list, and then my wife says otherwise. Guess who wins?
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I know about that. So I have a to-do list, and Jen has the what I will do list.
Okay.
And, you know, so, and when I get home, that's a whole other conversation. We're just talking about work stuff today. So anyway, but we kind of live in this. And I'll tell you guys, I've struggled with to-do lists myself. The way Jen and me handle a to-do list is we have 2 sheets. And if you're doing a handwritten 411, that's the best way to do this. So on a handwritten 411, you can write your goals on one side and write your distractions on the back. And when you take care of everything on the front, you can flip it over and work on the stuff on the back. Your could-dos are what goes on the back. And bless you, John Bernard.
Sorry.
Anyway, no, we're good. So, but we have a to-do list, which is what we're going to do list. And then we have our distraction list, which is not our priorities, but really it's our list of could-dos. And Jen keeps me on track for hitting my should-dos first before we work on the could-dos. And very rarely do we go ahead and get a could-do ahead of a should-do. And we do it through just a Google Doc. And I've got a link on my phone. I can click it, pops up. That's what I'm going to do. And I come in every day, but Jen manages it because I need help. So, but it's one of the wonderful things about that. And some people are great with it and some people aren't. And it's being able to prioritize what is your one thing, what's the most important thing that makes the difference right there. So you start with what's my most important thing. What's the one thing? We'll get into the question. I'm not going to ruin it. So that's number 1. Number 2 is multitasking. Oh, here's multitasking, which if you don't know, it's a computer term. And it's really not multitasking. They call it multitasking, but it's task switching. And what happens is a computer will go ahead and use some of its computing power over here originally, back on the older ones, and then it'd switch and use computing power over here, and it'd just kind of go between the two. We're not designed that way. And so if you look at like how little distraction I actually let in my world, it's because you focus on your primary work, and when you get off of that and you have to switch, reorient, handle whatever distraction it is, and then switch and reorient back, if you look at that little line on the bottom that says start to finish, it takes you longer versus your focused work where you just eliminate distraction. And this is why I apologize. Sometimes you message me, I have my phone on, or you're going to call me or you're going to text me and I'm not going to see it, or I turn off my email. But one of my biggest productivity secrets is when I'm on my one thing, when I'm doing what was on my schedule, I don't do anything else. Because if you want to be good at what you do, how many of you would want to go to a brain surgeon who, while he's got your head cut open, he's texting or playing on Facebook? Anyone going to that doctor? No?
Nope.
No.
Yeah.
Definitely no.
And yet less important jobs, they're texting while they're working. Like if a brain surgeon can't, you probably shouldn't either. We've dissected. Okay, so someone go ahead and do this real quick. I want you to write 1 to 10 as quickly as possible from right to left and share your screen with us. Can anyone do that? Just like it says right here.
Okay, write it.
As quickly as possible.
Okay.
We're going to time you.
Okay.
Or say ready, set, go. Chris, keep him honest. You say ready, set, go and time him.
Okay, am I doing them sequentially, like write them and then like one after the other, or by stopping in between?
No, you're just going to write as quickly as you can, 1 through 10, from left to right on a piece of paper. Okay. And Chris is going to count out loud how long it takes you while Andy slaps you in the back of the head. Go.
I'm already done.
Oh, look at that. No interruptions. Okay, same thing. And it's writing A through J. Go. Andy. Okay, which one took less time?
Definitely the
The
uninterrupted.
1 through 10 took less
Okay.
time.
So what did you learn about that?
Well, the harder he hit me, the weirder my characters looked.
Really? I picked Andy because between him and Chris, he looked like the one that'd go more gentle on you.
That's right, I got one.
Okay, so we've got 1 through 10, A through J, kind of like that. And it looks about like
Twice.
twice. Now, it's not really hitting you in the head, but if you look at hitting you in the head, it's email notifications. It's Facebook notifications. It's text. But guys, you look at it, I mean, that just perfectly illustrates the point right there. And it's so simple. 1 to 10, A through J, but that's what multitasking does. And so while we think that you're good at it, it's one of those things, the interference keeps it so you're not quite good at it. So let's go to the next one, a disciplined life. And this is an interesting thing because people talk about, a lot of people think I'm kind of a disciplined person. I'm not. I have good habit. And except when Orange Theory won't let me off the wait list. But this morning, guys, I made it. And I got 26 flat points to make up for it. So thought I was going to pass out. I was in the red zone the whole time. But when you see someone who goes ahead and they're healthy and they manage their money well and they seem so disciplined, what you've got to realize is you just have someone who's really good at adopting one habit at a time and going for it. And the average person is going to work to adopt 10 habits at one time. It is just so much easier to just go ahead and say, I'm going to take one habit rather than I'm going to take 10 habits. So, but a disciplined life, it's not about having a disciplined life. It's about having proper habits. And you have two kinds of habits. You have efficient ones that move you forward, and you have inefficient ones. And well, if it doesn't move you forward, what's it doing?
On your back.
Yep. And then so this one right here, this is the probation of favorable decisions with some judges. So they went ahead and they took some judges that were granting parole. And if you're out there for parole and they watched them and they studied them, but if you were up there for parole and you started in the morning, you had a 60% chance of making parole. And they did this over a pretty extended period of time. And what happened is towards the end of the break, I mean, your chances, you might as well want to go ahead and let the next guy go ahead of you because you weren't getting out. It went to 0. And it's just because the energy was low. And so when you look at this, Jen and me, we had this week and some of our uncomfortable calls. What we found is if I called them bright and early on a Friday morning or a Thursday morning, people said yes. And if I called them last thing in the day, Jen, what was our response on the 2 late calls? I made a 3 late calls and made a dumb move on.
I'll think about it.
I'll think about it or no. And so when you're doing your prospecting, when you're doing your lead generation, for the person that you're contacting, you're going to have better results earlier in the day for them. They're more likely you're going to set an appointment with them more of the time because 60% of the time they have more willpower. See, what happens is if the day gets ahead of them, they're less likely to say yes. They simply have less willpower. And the same thing is true with you. When you go ahead and you look at the things that consume your energy, you want to get those done and out of the way first thing. Because if you can go ahead and do that the rest of the day, you got a lot easier day. But willpower is not on will call always. And you're kind of like your phone. Your phone has a battery and it's not as charged when you take it off the charger after you've been using it for a while. It's why if you look at why they say early morning workouts going to the gym are typically more effective. Well, simply because you have more willpower. So it's more than likely you're able to make a more favorable decision. All right, the other thing is, another joke is a balanced life. When people say, I want to be more balanced, good luck. Because if you look at the most balanced, let's take a ballerina who's supposed to be so balanced, she is up on her toes and doing that, but it's not balance, it's counterbalance. Because we think that it should be like the end right here on the far left, where you've got a pretty tight work-life balance. And then you've got work-life balance in the extremes, which will work really hard and they'll take some time off, stuff like that. Work-life balance actually looks like that counterbalancing right there. And you've got to remember the magic happens in the extremes. That's why if you want to create some magic, you're going to have to go extreme in one area. You're going to have to. But it's a lie. And I think that the lie of the balanced life is perpetuated by giving someone something that people could sell to or persuade them. When someone says, I'm just trying to stay balanced, I'm sorry for you, because that's just not going to happen. It is unattainable. You're going to have times in your life you're just out of balance and you're out of alignment, and you're going to have to counterbalance. So, but it's a feat that you're not going to master. And yet they'll go ahead and they'll sell you self-help books, trying to teach you how to be more balanced. You'll hire coaches, you'll go to seminars, you'll get training on how do I finally get this balance thing right. It's a lie. The other thing is big is bad. And if you look right here, people go ahead, and I don't know if you've had this, but when you go ahead and start telling people what you want to do with your world and who you want to be and what you're going after, it's like people who think that they can't do something, that's like they want to hold you down from doing it. And so if you look just right here, time and effort versus thinking, and it's your what, how, and who. But when you think big, you're going to get a big outcome. And when you think small, you're going to have a small outcome. You're still going to think. But the whole big is bad thing, if we would have went ahead and said, oh, we don't want cyberbacker to get too bad, well, we wouldn't have created as many jobs. Okay, let's go to the domino effect. This one is amazing. Everyone familiar with the domino effect? This is geometric progression. So if you start off with a domino, 2-inch tall domino. See, a domino can take down another domino 50% its size. So a smaller domino can take over a bigger domino, and that domino can take over another domino, which means if you were to do that by the 18th domino, you'd knock over the Eiffel Tower, or the Eiffel Tower. 23rd domino, you'd knock over, Leaning Tower of Pisa. That's 18. Man, I haven't even been there. I've got one of those generic photos that makes it look like I'm pushing the tower over. But then you've got the Eiffel Tower at 23, Mount Everest at 31, and the 57th domino is the moon. And then that just demonstrates geometric progression. So you start with a small something that can go ahead and scale and geographically grow into something much bigger. It's a fascinating concept. And so when you're picking your habits, you pick the habits that can go ahead and lead you to knocking over big ones. The real first 66-day challenge and habit that I adopted when I was less disciplined was making my bed every day. That's it. I'd love to tell you it was going ahead and going to the gym. No, but making the bed led to being better about going to the gym. And another 66-day challenge of just remembering to take my vitamins every day led to a bigger one of going to the gym and eating better. It's a constant geometric progression, and you see people that they're sprinters and they're going to run really, really hard for a while, and eventually they just can't keep the pace, so they're not like a pacer and they have to walk, and you know the story. So let's go to the focusing questions. This is where it all begins. One of my favorite questions: what's the one thing I can do such that by doing it everything else will be easier or unnecessary? And you really want to ask yourself this question a lot, because it won't always be the same thing. And when you're kind of setting your goals on what do you want, what are you going to do, that's the question. What's the one thing? And then my favorite, if you're going to have a second question, how will you know when you've done it? Tony, my coach, wonderful man, he says, I like that question, but people sometimes have a hard time figuring out what their one thing is. So he flipped it. He said, what's the one thing you're not doing that if you started doing it would make everything else easier or unnecessary? Because people sometimes are a little bit slow to tell you what's the one thing they would do, but they're pretty good at telling you what's the one thing they're not currently doing. And then it breaks down to different sections of your life, and you can have multiple one things, but it's in different areas of your life. What's the one thing I can do for my spiritual life? What's the one thing I can do for my finances? What's the one thing I can do for my business? What's the one thing I can do for my job? What's the one thing I can do for my key relationships? What's the one thing I can do for my personal life? What's the one thing I can do for my physical health? But pick one, because it's like if it was finances, the first thing you've got to know is where's your money going? And so one of the big changes I can remember making this is it's just logging your expenses. I know for my spiritual life, just me personally, what's the one thing? For me, it's very spiritual to write stuff out. But if I go ahead and I write letters to my future self. But writing for me, that's my spiritual experience, because I'm good at prayer and I'm really good at, I'm going to go ahead and just take time to listen. But spiritually, some of my most spiritual experiences have just been communicating with someone that I'm not always able to communicate with. And then so from that, you goal set to the now. So you take one of your someday goals, you're going to take that into a 5-year goal, take that into a 1-year goal, take that into a monthly goal, take that into a weekly goal, take that into a daily goal, and right now. In fact, Monday we broke down, because we always look at how many days we have left to hit 15,000. We know how many contracts we need to sell per day. We know how many people we need to hire per day. I mean, we have a production schedule. Okay, so does anyone have some someday goals, something you want to do with your life, in your life?
I want to live in a house that I pay more than $1 million for.
Robert wants to live in a house that he pays more than $1 million for. What else?
Set up a children's foundation.
Ooh, that's a good one. I love that one, Ed.
I watched your video and I loved it.
Yeah, well, you and me both. I love that idea. That's fantastic, Ed.
Hit me right here, man.
Yeah, we were speaking the same language on that one. What else?
TBC certification
There you go.
with your seal.
With the Navy
signature.
seal. Absolutely, absolutely. I like that. It's a good one.
I want to establish a transition home for those trying to come off of the street.
Ooh.
So that they can then live a fulfilling life with helping them from employment, if they have children, daycare, so that they can do school or whatever it is they need to do to get up on their feet.
That's fantastic.
That's nice.
Why is that goal important to you? And what will accomplishing that goal do for your life? And what will happen if you do not accomplish that goal? What's the goal of 15,000? 5 million profit shared? Why is that important to me? Because I believe when you give great people great opportunities, they do good in the world with it. I believe that you can't give that in which you don't have. And if we can create a retirement platform in Cyberback, where you can come in, you can work hard, the company takes care of you, we can go ahead and truly change the world. And what will it do for my life? It'll give my life meaning, because I'll have known that my time here spent meant something. What'll happen if we do not accomplish this goal? The world doesn't change. And I'm not okay with the world not changing. And I'm really not okay with the way things are. I really don't. It makes me sad every time I see street children. I see a lot of sweet spirits that just never had a chance. I know that a lot of you guys, and you give to them and you take care of them and you love them, and they need a lot of help, which means we need to be the people that can help those people. And there's other people, the only reason they're not at Cyberbackers, they don't have access to the internet or a computer. But one day, those are big things. I know some of you guys who are here, some of our newbies, you just bought a computer to get here. Ian, we had a great conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, proud of you, man. So
Me
I know
too.
Jen did that. She bought a computer, said, I'm going to go work online. I'll be a Cyberbacker. So let's go here to time blocking. And here's there's your typical day where you only spend a little bit of time doing your one thing and a lot of time doing everything else. And then you've got a productive day. Jen, how much time do we spend in the one thing, in our one thing?
Half day.
Pretty much, yeah. Half day, Jen says half day means 6 a.m., 6 p.m., right?
Mm-hmm.
We work half days.
Or more.
Or more. 12 or more hours a day. But how much of that do we actually spend in our one thing? Not just here at the office. So time blocking. This is my favorite. First thing, time block your time off. And so typically what I do, I'll be doing it here again soon. I'm just waiting for events is I take a black magic marker. I print off a year at a glance calendar and I take a black marker and I just go ahead and cross out the time that I know I won't be working. I'm going to tell you, I can tell you Thanksgiving week of this year, I'm not working. I can tell you Thanksgiving week of last year, I'm not working. And I can tell you Thanksgiving week of next year, I'm not working. I just don't do that. That's typically time when I'm going to take the boys somewhere fun. And that's every year I'm going to do that. And then I usually the last 2 weeks, since MAPS goes ahead and they're not coaching for those, I typically do that. And then I go through and I take my education time and I block that off. Weeks I'm in education and training. And then I go ahead and I say, here's the other things, and you're not going to get me. But I'm never going to go ahead and show up to where it's, what am I doing today? Because I planned usually a year in advance what I was doing that day. So, in fact, if you can't look at your schedule and know exactly what you're doing, Tuesday at 10 a.m. or, sometimes it's 11 p.m., you're kind of going to be in trouble because you're not going to know what you're supposed to do then. You've got to know exactly, here's where I am and here's what I'm doing. So, time block your one thing, absolutely. If it makes sense to do, it goes on the calendar and nothing gets ahead of it. And it's kind of funny because I had to pick my dentist around who works Saturdays. And I had to do the same thing with my doctors. But I'm like, do you work nights? Do you work weekends? Great, we can work together. And that's how I typically start my conversations because I'm not going to let them take over my one thing. It's too important. And when I see people making sacrifices for their one thing, you just can't get it back. But it's an unquestioned one thing. And then the other thing is time block your planning time. Jen and me, we're pretty good about it. It's Friday mornings. That's planning time. It starts at 7, it goes till 9:30. And sometimes, do I interfere? Yep, I interfere. But there's a lot of times that I go ahead and I'll start early or stay later when it gets interfered with and I make up for it. And then protect your time block. And the way you do that, number one, you have to isolate your distractions, build a bunker. Meaning I turn my phone off, I get a pen and paper, I eliminate as much distractions as I can, I pull the blinds. And then I'm going to go ahead and sweep for minds, things that could come up. Put those out. Like if you have a call that you know is going to come through, you let them know you're going to go into an appointment. Sweep for minds. Store rations. In other words, have snacks nearby. But for actually protecting that and making sure nothing gets in because it's sacred. And I'm going to tell you, people don't always have a great relationship with their goals and they wonder, why are they not hitting them? But it kind of looks like this. So anyway, your one thing, plan time. And for a long time, money, I planned money Sunday night. Sunday night I looked at my financial plan, looked at where my savings is, looked at where my expenses are, and you've got to visit your money every week. And then your time blocking, crossing off the days that you actually did your one thing, which hopefully is every day. So build a bunker, store provisions, sweep for minds, and enlist support. My enlisting supports, okay, Jen, I'm going to be here on the computer. Make sure that I don't leave. And then the next big piece is accountability and looking at who will be your accountability partner in that area. Is it a partner? Is it a coach? Who is that person that's going to make sure you do what you said you were going to do? And the reason that's important is because 39% of people with goals will succeed and 76.7% more likely to succeed. Guys, this is some great stuff from the one thing. And the ultimate question is why? Why are you doing it? I mean, what do you want? You've got purpose when it goes ahead and it wakes you up early, keeps you up late. When it's all you can think about, all you can talk about, you're flat out obsessed with it, and you got a reason to. Guys, get obsessed. It's a wonderful thing. Wonderful thing. Okay, what'd you guys take away? What'd you learn that you're going to implement? What skill?
Don't get too overwhelmed.
What's that mean?
Prioritize, because oftentimes we try to do everything. We try to get everything done, and in the end we don't get anything done at all because we are taking too much time switching. So multitasking is a lie.
Oh, I love that. And in fact, a little bit further on that, we talked about the brain surgeon, but you just think about an airplane. And what's the priority of an airplane and a pilot? Yeah, the first priority of an airplane is landing. That's number one. Number two is the takeoff. Because if you can't land it, it never takes off. Agreed?
If you can take off, you can never land.
The other way around.
Yeah, well, but it's the landing. So it means if there's something faulty with the landing gear, if they're not 100% confident they can land that plane, it doesn't take off. So if it's even questionable, they don't take off. Now, if takeoff is questionable, well, obviously, yeah, that's they're not going to take off. But that's number one. And, then it gets into everything else, But number one is landing the plane, and number two is being able to take off. So, yep, absolutely. I love priority. That was a great one. But did you get some good stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
As always.
All
As
right.
always.
Well, so we also went ahead. We had some great people that we've got great people on our career team. Guys, if you're here, then that means our career team did a great job. So let's give it up for our career team. Yes. And we have someone who's taking on the role of running our career team right now. Em, you here?
Wow.
Yes, Craig, I'm here.
So,
Congratulations, Em.
Congratulations.
Congrats, Em.
You deserve it, man.
Thank you, guys.
hey, Em, how long you been here?
2 years and counting.
Yeah?
Yes, I lost track.
You lost track? Feels like forever?
Nah, it seems like it's just yesterday.
Yeah. So congratulations, and we're excited for you. And Em, just so everyone knows, when you started here, you weren't with Career. What were you doing?
I'm also paired with a client.
You were.
Yes.
And what'd you do?
Everything.
He's a
Yes, you
magician.
did. Yes, you did.
Everything that I know that my client needs help.
Yep.
Even he didn't ask for it, I certainly do it.
Yeah. And just fantastic person. And I got to tell you, I just love him. And fantastic person who just embodies the culture of Cyberbacker. Congratulations to M. And guys, get out there and have a fantastic weekend. Sound good?
Yeah.
Sure, boy.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Greg.
Have a great weekend. Stay safe.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks, Greg.